Assalamualaikum everyone, welcome back to this channel. This is me. Sorry for that, Alia Kaval, and my name is Alia Waheed. And as you know that we are discussing all the lectures about the acute inflammation. Right now, we are discussing some components of acute inflammation. So the topic of acute inflammation is we are gonna to continue our this topic of acute inflammation, and we will see what are the components. We have discussed till the topic of leukocyte recruitment or migration. So just revise the previous all the things and then we move to the next thing. So as you know, this is very important that our acute inflammation has two components: vascular changes and the cellular events. In the vascular changes, the vessels adapt themselves, modify themselves, change themselves to in order to regulate the inflammation or in order to give the signs of inflammation. Like first of all, the vasodilation occur. Before the vasodilation, there is a transient vasoconstriction, which helps to stop the blood loss. Then there is the start of vasodilation, in which blood vessels dilate themselves, increase their diameter, and due to it there is increase in the blood flow, there is redness there is more warmthness there. That's why these are the signs of inflammation, that injured side appear red, it appears swallowed, it appear a warmth here. So these are the signs here. Then we increase the vascular permeability of the membrane, and now we increase the vascular permeability, we cause the construction of endothelial cells, and due to which there is becoming more gaps between the endothelial cells, and which are allowing the all the material to flow out, and the liquid will flow out, exudation process will occur, high protein rich fluid is coming out of the endothelial cells or the blood vessel lining, which cause the swelling at the site of the injury. Then we have seen that the endothelial cells cause their activation, and they release nitric oxide and histamine that play important role in the vasodilation of blood vessel. And also, whenever the endothelial cells activate, they cause the leukocytes to move toward the walls. Okay, so this was the vascular changes. Now we move toward the cellular events. So majorly the cellular events that occur in the acute inflammation is the movement of our immune cells, our neutrophils, our leukocytes, our white blood cells to the site of the injury. So we have two types of cellular events. First is the leukocyte migration, and second is leukocyte activation. In the previous lecture we have discussed about the leukocyte activation, in which we have discussed that how the leukocyte we have seen the steps of leukocyte migration, or which can also be called as leukocyte recruitment. We have some 5 or 4 steps here. First step is the margination or rolling. In this process, the leukocytes begin to move toward the walls of the blood vessel. So this step is very important, and then it began to roll. And why it is rolling? Because of the presence of some adhesion molecules called as selectins. Selectins has the type of type P selectin, E selectin, and L selectin. P and E selectin, where they are present? Yes, very good. You remember all the things. They are present on the endothelial cell. While the L-selectin, do you remember where the L-selectin is present? Yes, the mostly L-selectin adhesion molecules, they are present in the lymphatic systems system. For example, lymph nodes, lymphatic vessels. These are the locations of L-selectin. Very good. And can you remember the next step of leukocyte migration? Yes, very good. So, next step of leukocyte migration is that a temporary adhesion, or you can say a frame adhesion. And how the frame adhesion occur? Because there is the involvement of protein in this process, which is called integrins. So the integrins are present on integrin receptor is present on the surface of leukocytes, while the integrin ligand, where they are present, do you remember? Yes, integrin and ligand are present on the endothelial cells. They both combine with each other, and this kind of changes. First of all, the leukotrienes, so sorry for that. The first of all, the your integrin and your integrin ligand, they are in inactive form, they are not activated. And whenever the cytokines release in the inflammation, then they become activated and they bind with each other, and they cause the frim adhesion of your leukocytes with the endothelial cells. Very good. then you remember the next step, there is transmigration and diabetes, in which there is a protein that creates the channel in the blood vessel, like which is the PECAM1 protein, and which creates the channel, and due to this channel, your leukocytes move toward the site of the injury. And then the chemotaxis occur, a lot of chemokines release that allow the leukocytes to move toward the site of the injury. They will some cytoskeleton and microfibrils form the pseudophores around the leukocyte, and then they will become easy for the leukocytes to move toward the site of the injury. So this is all the things which involved in the activation of your in the migration of your leukocyte. Now in the today's lecture, we are gonna to see how your leukocytes, your white blood cells, they how they activate. We have seen their migration, how they migrated. Now your leukocytes reach at the site of inflammation. Okay, so this is your skin, and you have got the injury at this site. So I am making the injury site like that, and your leukocyte is reach at the site of the injury. So this is your leukocytes having its nucleus and all that. Okay, so now it reach at the site of the injury. Now it has to activate. Normally it is inactivated form, it is not activated all the time. Now it has to become active. And how it will be acting, and how now your leukocyte is gonna to activate. So your leukocyte, this is your leukocyte. On the surface of your leukocytes, there are many kind of receptors present. Okay, so we are these receptor play important role in the activation of leukocytes, and whenever your leukocyte activate, they will digest that microbe. Okay, so through this injured site, a microbe enter into your body. Okay, so whenever these leukocyte activate, they will eat this microbe. Okay, major process is the killing of your microbe there. So this leukocyte activate and kill that microbe. So how it will activate, its surface consists of so many receptor. It has so many different kind of receptors present on it, that every receptor is going to perform its own function. Okay, so I have drawn different shapes of different receptors are present here, and now we will discuss every receptor, and every receptor which thing bind to that receptor, and what is gonna to happen here. We will study that. So first of all, this is the wall of your leukocyte. Okay, so I am elaborating this part over that area, so that you can clearly see what things are happening right now here, and it will be easy for you to understand it. So I'm reading all that. Okay, so we are zooming towards the first wall or the surface of your leukocytes. We will see what four kind of receptors are there, and how these kind of things will occur. So the first receptor that is present on your leukocyte surface is your G receptor. So this is the shape of your G protein coupled receptor. G protein coupled. So these are the receptor that are coupled with a protein. This is called as G protein. So this is a G protein here. Okay, so this is the first receptor present on the leukocyte. The next receptor that you will see on the surface of your leukocyte is your toll-like receptor. So toll-like receptor, I think you have heard the word of toll-like receptor for the first time, but we will are going to see what that means. You don't need to be too much worry about it. Okay, so this is the something like the T toll like receptor. Okay, so this is what toll like receptor. And one thing you have to remember about the toll like receptor is that this is the first receptor that will activated after the microbial attack. All the other receptor will activated after it. Okay, so the next receptor is your cytokine receptor. I am gonna to draw the shape of cytokine receptor, so it is just like that. This is the cytokine receptor. Okay, so we have drawn the three receptor. Now the we are going to draw the last and the fourth receptor here. Okay, so my drawing is not too much well, but I have tried my level best to draw everything. So this is your phagocytic receptor. Phagocytic receptor. Okay, so now you have to see what kind of things bind with the all these receptor. Okay, every receptor have a different thing to bind with it. Okay, so the first receptor is the G protein couple receptor, and the three kind of things can bind with it. So the first thing that can bind with it is your this circle area, which is called as chemokines. Chemokines bind with it and activate your G protein couple receptor. Second thing that can activate your G protein couple receptor, I'm drawing another circular shape which is called as lipid mediators. Some lipid kind of mediators can also activate your G protein couple receptor. And the third thing that can activate your G protein couple receptor is your N-formyl methionine peptides. Okay, these kind of peptides can activate G protein, but it is not too much important. Okay, whenever your G protein couple receptor activate by these three ligands, you can say they cause the cytoskeleton changes in your cell. So what is occurring? Some changes occur. Cytoskeleton mean your cyto or skeleton, the cell skeleton will change due to this activation. And what is going to occur, it will allow the activation of endothelial cell, it will allow the leukocytes to move to outside toward the site of the injury. Okay, these kind of cytoskeleton changes is occurring. Now toll like receptor, what they are doing, so actually your microbe which came through the injured site. Okay, the microbe which enter into our body through this injured area, this will bind to toll like receptor. And this microbe has a lot of lps on it. Lps mean lipid polysaccharide. Okay, and this lipid polysaccharide over the bacteria help it to bind with the toll like receptor. And what is going to occur after that, there will be production of a lot of mediators. Some mediators will produce that will regulate your inflammation, like the mediators produced through the arachidonic acid. Through arachidonic acid, your leukotrienes, your prostaglandin, your thrombin, these are the major inflammatory mediators that are produced through this way. Okay, so these mediators will regulate your inflammation or prolong the inflammation. The next receptor, cytokine, and the cytokines are gonna to bind on the cytokine receptor. Okay, this is your cytokine. What? Cytokine, and it will bind with it receptor. Sorry for that. And it is doing the same thing as the toll like receptor doing. It will produce the mediators and regulate your inflammation. The next receptor is the phagocytic receptor. Your microbe also bind with it, having the lipid lps, lipid polysaccharide over the surface of it. And the microbe can have the opsonin on its surface, and when it binds it start the phagocytic process. And how the phagocytic process will occur, it will cause the formation of ROS, it will cause the formation of lysosomal enzymes that will digest your microbe, and similarly it causes the phagocytosis. It will digest the microbe and start the killing process of your microbe. And how this killing process will occur, we will also study that. Okay, how the ROS mean reactive oxygen species, how the lysosomal enzyme will produce, and how the phagocytosis is gonna to occur here. So actually this was the process of leukocyte activation. Now your leukocyte activates through these receptor and it have performed these kind of things. Now we will see how the phagocytic will occur, how the microbe which enter, how this microbe which enter through the inflammatory site, how it will kill through the leukocytes, how they will kill this microbe. So the phagocytosis will occur. Now we move toward the phagocytic cytosis process. Okay, guys, so next is the phagocytosis. How it will occur? So, phagocytosis, you know that the cellular eating, so engulfing the harmful particles, microbes, or the dead cells to remove them from our body. So phagocytosis occur in three steps. Okay, three steps of phagocytosis are, so the first step is the recognition. So first of all we have to recognize a particular microbe, and then we will attach with it. So recognition or attachment. Okay, second step of your phagocytosis is that engulfment. Engulfment. So then your leukocytes will try to engulf that microbe or that dead cell. And the third step of your phagocytosis, third step, and this third step includes the killing process or your degradation. Okay, so this is the acute inflammation. Phagocytosis occurring in the three steps: recognition of microbe and the attachment, then engulfment, and at the last step is the killing or degradation of that particular microbe. So first of all, how it will recognize it? So your microbe, this is your microbe. This microbe attached with the opsonin. Opsonin covered this microbe. This opsonin, this is opsonin. This opsonin can be some complement proteins or can be IgE antibody. They will opsonin. The function of the opsonin is that it will, you know, ऑप्सनेट ना बिल्कुल इस तरह काम करता है कि जैसे ये माइक्रोब को ना बिल्कुल इस तरह से करता है कि और ज़्यादा एक चीज़ को बढ़ावा दे देना, लाइक ये माइक्रोब के ऊपर कवर करके पूरे जिस्म में ना यूं खड़ा हो जाता है कि ये रहा माइक्रोब, ल्यूकोसाइट्स आ जाओ इसे खा लो। तो ये क्या कर रहा है, माइक्रोब को और ज़्यादा बढ़ावा दे रहा है कि हाँ, और ज़्यादा बॉडी को ना रिकॉग्नाइज करना आसान हो जाता है कि ये माइक्रोब है और हमने इसे खाना है। तो ऑप्सोनिन उसको माइक्रोब को और ज़्यादा इन्हांस कर देता है, जिससे हमारी बॉडी इजीली उसे रिकॉग्नाइज कर लेती है। ठीक है, देन द नेक्स्ट प्रोसेस इज द इंगल्फमेंट. सो व्हाट विल हैपन्स हियर, move toward the next process, engulfment. So this is your leukocyte. On the leukocyte, this is the phagocytic receptor or through which the microbe bind with it, and this binding allow the leukocytes to form some pseudopores. So this leukocyte will form some pseudopore. How it will form? It will form this like arms. ये इस तरह के ना कुछ आर्म्स बना लेता है इस तरह से। अब वो जो माइक्रोब है वो इस तरह आ जाएगा और ये उसे इंगल्फ कर लेगा, खा जाएगा। सो इट विल इंगल्फ, इंटर द माइक्रोब इनसाइड इट। नाउ different kind of enzymes will this is a vesicule, and this vesicule is called phagocytic vacuole. Okay, vacuole spelling is my wrong, so please correct that. And then after that, with this phagocytic vesicule, another thing combined with it, which is called as lysosome. They both will combine, and their product of their combination is a big cell, and this cell is called as phagolysosome. This phagolysosome and the microbe inside it and the lysosomal enzyme inside it, they will digest this microbe, and at the end there will be the remainings of some resiquent or some residues of your microbe will remain after that. So this is the process of your killing or degradation or engulfment. Next, how this killing process will occur, how the killing or degradation will occur. So always a microbe can be killed through some microbial substances, like through ROS, through a lysosomal enzyme, or through some other ways that we can do. But here we will discuss these two things. So first of all, ROS, how the reactive oxygen species will produce. So they can be produced through oxidative burst, oxidative burst, or they can be produced through respiratory burst. Both are the same thing, oxidative burst or respiratory burst. So how they will occur? Actually, oxidative burst mean there is increase in the oxygen usage, or there is increase in the oxygen consumption, due to which there will be the more and more breakdown of glycogen, and more glucose will oxidize, and that will result into the production of reactive oxygen species. So actually, your NADPH inside your body, sorry, this is the P, NAD, oh, sorry for that. So your NADPH, it will undergo the oxidative burst with the help of an enzyme which is called as DPH. Again, I have write the P as a R. I don't know why I do that always, but yeah, I do it. So NADPH, it will convert into superoxidine. Superoxidine is written as it with the help of an enzyme called NADPH oxidases. Okay, then this superoxidine, it will combine with 2H positive to form hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. Okay, and this hydrogen peroxide ion, it has the activity, or it has the ability to kill the microbe. Okay, but the reaction doesn't stop there. It is not enough to kill that microbe completely. So hydroxyl ion superoxide is more powerful killing. So more powerful killing will occur through hydroxyl ion superoxide. Next is the production of HOCl. This is called as hypochlorous acid. Hypochlorous acid. And how the hydrogen peroxide produce this hypochloric acid? Through the MPO. What is MPO? This is an enzyme called myeloperoxidase enzyme. It is present inside the neutrophils. In the neutrophil granules, it is present. So this is a neutrophil, and inside the neutrophil some granules are there. Inside this granule, this enzyme is present, and these granules are called as eosinophilic granules. And so in the presence of Cl negative halide ion, which is called as chloride ion, this enzyme activates, and it causes the conversion of your hydrogen peroxide into the hypochloric acid. And this hypochloric acid, this is very 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 important. Why? Because it is a strong oxidant. It is same as a chlorine bleach. So आपने bleach देखी होगी, that is used in various things, like in the some facial creams, in some detergents. These kind of bleaches are used, and all the bleach, they contain this hypochloric acid. It is very strong, It is very powerful oxidant that it can kill all the microbes. And how it kills? It causes the halogenation of your microbes. It causes the addition of chloridine into the bacteria and cause the superoxidation of the bacterial proteins and lipids, and due to this your bacteria cannot survive and he will die. So this is a process that how we kill our microbe, and you have studied how all the things are doing that. And also neutrophils have the ability to kill the microbe. Do you know that neutrophils form the NET, which is the neutrophil extracellular traps? That is very important for the viva point of view. A lot of examiners can do the question about the NET. And do you know what is NET? NET. This is the neutrophil extracellular traps. Actually, your neutrophil made a network to trap all the kind of pathogens. तो बिल्कुल न्यूट्रोफिल्स किस तरह का पैथोजन ट्रैप बनाता है कि अपने इर्द गिर्द साइटोस्केलेटन के कुछ सूडोफोर्स अपने इर्द गिर्द ना यूं ऐसे करके, मैं बहुत गंदे बना रही हूँ ट्रैप्स इस तरह के, बट आई एम ट्राइंग टू डू, ये इस तरह के कुछ फॉल्स किस्म के ना, so bad my drawing, oh my god. So just forget that, just आपने ये ध्यान में रखना है कि neutrophils form a network of trap inside them so that they can, they form the traps, and these traps contain some nucleochromatin, some antimicrobial protein and antimicrobial enzyme. They will they will kill your microbe. And this NET, when it will appear? So it will appear during the sepsis or during any autoimmune diseases. When you have any autoimmune diseases, then neutrophils appear like this. uh, then there will be the stimulation of formation of neutrophil. Now there are some other killing mechanism through which you can kill your microbe. First killing is through the leukocytes, how they will kill through the production of ROS and through the production of phagolysosome. But there are some other killing mechanism through which you can kill your microbe. So the first killing mechanism is the defensin. This is a peptide. Defensin is a peptide that create hole in the microsomal membrane. So this is a microbe, और ये पेप्टाइड जाके इस माइक्रोब की मेम्ब्रेन के अंदर होल्स कर देगा, इस तरह के डिफरेंट सुराख कर देगा. और and now you think that a microbe can survive in this condition, in this pores like condition? No, because all of the fluid inside the microbe, it will moves out, and this is called the death of that microbe. So this defensin can kill the microbe. Second thing that kill a microbe, which is called as major basic protein. So it kills the parasite that are found over the eosinophils. So this protein will kill all the kind of parasite, not all the microbe, it only kill the parasite. This is very important. Second killing mechanism is your bactericidal permeability increasing protein. Bactericidal permeability increasing protein, BPP up you can say it. So it causes the phospholipases activation and the membrane degradation. So it also degrading the membrane of that microbe and then killing it. Fourth thing is the lysozymes, not lysosome, it is lysozyme. How it kills your microbe? So actually it degrades the sugar coat of your bacteria. Like our bacteria has a sugar coat around it, so it will degrade this sugar coat, and it will break the all the kind of oligosaccharides present in the bacterial cell wall. So the bacterial cell wall has oligosaccharides, polysaccharides in it, and it will destroy or break down all these saccharides and cause the death of your microbe. So defensin, major basic protein, bactericidal permeability increasing protein, and lysozymes, they can kill your microbes. So this was all the things through which we can kill our all the kind of microbes that enter into our body. Next thing that we will discuss is the outcome of your acute inflammation. So we have covered uh, the acute inflammation. Now we will see all the outcomes, all the results of your acute inflammation. Okay, so we have three outcomes of the inflammation. So the first outcome is the resolution. Resolution means the healing process. In this process, it occurs when the injury is short-lived, the minimal tissue damage occur, and now it generates itself. It returns back to the normal process. So this and its result is full restoration. Okay, it is occurring when the injury is very minimal, with very less tissue damage. The body can repair itself and it's resolved all the kind of acute inflammation. Second thing is the chronic inflammation. Now, if your injured site is not able to heal, your tissue damage is so severe that it cannot be removed, your persistent injury occurs to you through any viral infection, through any autoimmune disorder, then your chronic inflammation occurs to you. A lot of macrophages and lymphocytes present here. Agenogenesis will occur, new blood vessel will form, and the fibrosis will there. The signs of chronic inflammation is your fibrosis, mean the scarring will present there, your angiogenesis, angiogenesis, that there will be the formation of new blood vessel there, and there will be the presence of macrophages phages and the lymphocytes at the site of chronic inflammation. These are the three signs of chronic inflammation. Now, the third outcome of your acute inflammation is the fibrosis, or you can say scarring. That all the after the tissue damage, now your body have to repair, and to repair it, a lot of connective tissues move toward the site of the injury, and it will form a scar at that site. And yeah, so these are the three outcomes of your acute inflammation. Now we will study what is the morphological appearance of your acute inflammation, that how the acute inflammation will appear under a microscope. So, morphological pattern. Morphological pattern. We are going to study the patterns of acute inflammation under a microscope. We are going to see the structure of it. So every acute inflammation has a specific pattern depending upon the type of the injury, the severity of the injury, and the causative agent of the injury. So the first pattern that you can see is the serous inflammation. So in this type of inflammation, you will see something watery, mean something swallowed, and you will see a fluid which is a protein poor fluid you will see in this type of inflammation. So this is serous effluent, and where it will occur, and so how this water came from. A lot of plasma cell or mesothelial cells secreted, and this kind of inflammation can occur in your pleura, in the outer membrane of your lungs, within your peritoneum, in your abdomen, and in your pericardium, in the outer layer of your heart. Like the skin blister form, like over your skin, a lot of blister form when you burn any site. So this burn site appear very watery, and this water is protein poor water that occurs when you burn your skin, and you have seen the swallowed area at that site. Whenever you have some viral infection, same kind of skin blisters also appear when you have viral infection on your skin. Next type of appearance of your inflammation is the fibrinous inflammation. So fibrinous inflammation, as its name indicating, It is a severe injury that leads to the deposition of fibrin inside your tissue. So at the site of injury, you will see the fibrin. And why fibrin? Because the fibrinogen leaks. Due to this leakage, the fibrin occur at the site of injury. And how it will appear? Due to the presence of fibrin, it will appear pink inside the microscope when you see it, and the eosinophilic fibrin threads you will see under the microscope, and they will appear as pink in the color. Where this fibrous inflammation can occur, so it will occur aligning in the lining of body cavities like the pericardium, pleura, or meninges, same size at the serious inflammation or fibrin inflammation, both occurring in the lining of body cavities. Okay, next thing that you can observe is third is the pus inflammation. Pus inflammation, that the pus, white kind of pus include in it. It also called a suppurative or purulent. So you will see the pus at the site of inflammation. This pus contains some neutrophil cells. So the composition of pus is that it contains neutrophils, it contains necrotic cells in it, mean dead cells, and it also contains the fluid inside it. So the combo of these three things is called a pus, and it will occur whenever any pathogenic bacteria acts upon you. And features is that you have a central necrosis. सो इसकी फ़ीचर्स कैसे होंगी, ये सारी चीज़ें अरेंज कैसे होंगी? सो सेंटर में आपके पास जो होंगे, ये हमारे पास नेक्रोसिस सेल होंगे, डेड सेल्स होंगे सेंटर में, सराउंडेड बाय न्यूट्रोफिल। इसके इर्द गिर्द न्यूट्रोफिल्स के सेल्स होंगे, और क्या होगा, डायलेटेड वेसल्स होंगी और फिब्रोब्लास्ट होगा। ठीक है, ये पस की वो थी। फिर आ जाता है अल्सर, कि लोकल टिश्यू नेक्रोसिस में श्रेडिंग हो जाती है, और वो हमारे पास ना एक क्या हो जाता है कि एक रफ सी सरफेस जो है वो डायग्नोस होती है। इनकी साइड्स क्या हैं, ये माउथ में, स्टमक में, इंटेस्टाइन में, गैस्ट्रोयूरिनरी ट्रैक्ट के अंदर, ये सारी चीज़ें जो है ना वो हो सकती हैं। एक्यूट भी हो सकती है, क्रॉनिक भी हो सकता है। अल्सर जो है ना एक्यूट भी है, क्रॉनिक भी है। अगर एक्यूट होगा तो उसमें पॉलीमोर्फो न्यूक्लियर सेल की इन्फिल्ट्रेशन होगी, यानी न्यूट्रोफिल्स की इन्फिल्ट्रेशन होगी। और अगर क्रॉनिक होगा तो लिम्फोसाइट्स और मैक्रोफेजेस वहाँ पे आए हुए होंगे, प्लाज्मा सेल आया हुआ होगा, और स्कारिंग हुई हुई होगी। सो पेप्टिक अल्सर जैसे स्टमक का या ड्यूडेनम का हो जाता है, वो इसी की टाइप आ जाती है। ठीक है, तो अल्सर भी एक तरह का मॉर्फोलॉजिकल अपीयरेंस है। सो वी हैव फोर मॉर्फोलॉजिकल पैटर्न्स ऑफ योर acute inflammation. First is the serious inflammation in which watery or protein poor fluid accumulates, like the skin blisters form, and when you have some viral infection, this will occur, and it occurs along the lining of your body cavities. Second is the fibrinous inflammation in which the fibrin collects or gather at the site of your injury. And why all of these things are occurring here at the site of injury? Because of it will appear pink, and it has the leakage of fibrinogen. Third morphological appearance is the pus formation, which is also called suppurative or pleurentim. In the pus you will see the neutrophil, some necrotic cell, and the fluid. At the center part you have some necrotic cell which is surrounded by the fluid or the neutrophil cells. Fourth morphological appearance of your acute inflammation is the ulcer, in which your necrotic cell and they will shed, and it will create a bumpy like appearance, and your ulcer can be occur in your mouth. Always whenever the ulcer word came in our mind, we see the ulcer of stomach or the intestine. Not yet, ulcer can occur in other body part, like it can occur in your mouth, it can be occur in your stomach, it can be occur in your gastrourinary tract. So it can be acute or chronic. We have seen what things are there in the acute inflammation and what things are there In the chronic ones, we have discussed all of these things. In the next lecture, we will see some mediators of acute inflammation, and after that, our the topic of acute inflammation will came to an end. So I hope that you will like this lecture. If you like this video, then please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and also press the bell icon so that you can get the notification of all the videos that I will be uploaded in the next in the future. So take care. Remember me in prayers. Allah Hafiz.